When you thought we couldn't go any lower, and after completely scraping the bottom of the barrel, we discover there is another layer of hardened dreg. Do you think that Tucker Carlson has made his career on TV going after the lowest hanging fruit? I ask you.
Well, a new study in the journal Pediatrics describes it as, quote, unethical to call breastfeeding natural, because doing so might undermine feminism. The study says, quote, coupling nature with motherhood can inadvertently support biologically deterministic arguments about the roles of men and women in the family. Kathy Aru is a journalist and publisher of Catalina Magazine, and she joins us now. Kathy, thanks for coming on.
Hey, thanks for having me.
So this was kind of a baffling story. One, that people are inserting politics into breastfeeding, which seems like it would be off limits for politics. But,
right.
but two, why it would be controversial to call breastfeeding natural. If breastfeeding is not natural, what is natural?
They are discussing an article co-written by Jessica Martucci and Anne Barnhill titled Unintended Consequences of Invoking the Natural in Breastfeeding Promotion. Jessica Martucci is the author of Groundbreaking Chronicle of the Breastfeeding Movement, a book titled Back to the Breast, Natural Motherhood and Breastfeeding in America. In the article, Martucci and Barnhill say, we are concerned about breastfeeding promotion that praises breastfeeding as the natural way to feed infants. The statement appears shocking at first, but there is more. This message plays into a powerful perspective that natural approaches to health are better, a view examined in a recent report by the Newfield Council on Bioethics. 2. Promoting breastfeeding as natural may be ethically problematic, and even more troublingly, it may bolster this belief that natural approaches are presumptively healthier. This may ultimately challenge public health's aims in other contexts, particularly childhood vaccination. I do understand the worry of our overly concerned doctors here that people could conflate the naturalness of breastfeeding and vaccination. This on its face is absurd. Should we no longer promote healthy foods as natural for fear of the thinking that eating your peas will lead you to stop vaccinating your children? But alas, the authors of this report do make considerate arguments of their apprehension that people will reject man-made foods, etc., and rightfully cite study. It does, however, fall over the cliff, as Tucker points out when they make this claim. Coupling nature with motherhood, however, can inadvertently support biologically deterministic arguments about the roles of men and women in the family. For example, that women should be the primary caretakers of children. Referencing the natural in breastfeeding promotion then may inadvertently endorse a controversial set of values about family life and gender roles, which would be ethically inappropriate. Invoking the natural is also imprecise because it lacks a clear definition. For similar reasons, the recent Newfield report states that public agencies, governments, and organizations contributing to public and political debates about science, technology, and medicine should avoid using the terms natural, unnatural, and nature, unless they make transparent the values or beliefs that underlie them.
Well, breastfeeding doesn't come naturally, as pediatricians will tell you. It's not exactly easy. There are lactation specialists out there. There's a whole industry out there. So breastfeeding isn't exactly natural. It doesn't come naturally to women. So what they're saying is, which I'm so happy there's a study out there that are finally letting women not have this guilt trip, that it's okay to hand the formula over to daddy, to the men, and it's natural for a man to feed a baby. So they're saying that only a woman able to feed a child is inappropriate. It's unethical and inappropriate. And I'm so glad that women are let off the hook. Finally.
I mean, it's not unethical or inappropriate, whatever those words mean. I mean, it's the opinion of some physicians that breast milk is superior to formula, and other people disagree, and it's a debate that has raged for quite some time. But what you seem to be saying is it is bad because it suggests that women have a different role in motherhood than men do, but they do because women are the only people biologically capable of bearing children. Is that now a controversial observation?
It is indeed now controversial. I refer you to a Huffington Post blog that details this new dispute. The Midwives Alliance of North America formerly referred to clients as women and mothers, but in 2014 changed some language in its core competency document to refer to pregnant people and birthing individuals. The new gender-neutral language recognizes that some transgender, genderqueer, and intersex individuals may require midwifery care and do not identify as women. Now, a group of midwives calling themselves Women-Centered Midwifery, is condemning the changes. In an open letter to MANA, the dissenting midwives write, Women are but missing from the language due to the erasure of the word woman. The authors of the open letter assert that only women have the ability to give birth, and that such capacity is what women should celebrate about themselves. The open letter says that trans guys who give birth are not men, they are women because of their biology.
Well, the study is saying, though, that women are not the only ones who could feed the children. So that's what they're trying to say. It is natural for others to be able to feed the children. So the whole burden is not on the mother. So that's what they're trying to say with this study.
Okay, but that's, okay, first of all, of course that's true.
Right.
Of course. But that's kind of a decision. What do you mean? I don't think women are stupid.
Oh, well, there are some women that actually, I interviewed a pediatrician that had a mother that had a child starving for 2 weeks. She was not able to lactate. She was not able to produce breast milk for 2 weeks. The baby had lost weight, and she refused to give that baby formula for fear that her baby was not going to get the perfect breast milk and would have to turn to formula. The baby ended up in the NICU.
That's a totally fair point, and that's a shame when people feel like there's no alternative. Perhaps there are some.
Perhaps there are some. This is not an argument about natural versus man-made. It is a case of lack of common sense. If someone risks the life of their baby because they want the perfect food, then they need something examined, probably their head.
But that's not what's really going on here. This is gender politics intruding on the personal decisions that parents make.
Well,
it's also blurring the lines. It's suggesting, by the way, that men can breastfeed, which I don't think they can.
It's suggesting that men could, I don't know. But
now this is starting to look staged. She doesn't know if men can breastfeed. Is she serious? Men can feed babies. There is no doubt about that. But unless I want to be painted as being transphobic, we must recognize that some men who started out as women but now identify as men can breastfeed. Ah, checkmate, Tucker. You didn't think that one through now, did you?
It's suggesting
I do know. The answer is they can't.
So.
I have 4 children. I can tell you.
I don't know. I don't know your secrets. But no, what they're saying is that men can feed children. They're finally putting a study out there that's saying that breast milk is not the only way to go. There are other ways.
Okay,
and
but Kathy, you're dodging what I'm saying. Look, strictly speaking, I don't disagree with you.
Thank you.
But the debate is whether breast milk is better or worse than formula. And again, that is a scientific debate that nutritionists and physicians can have. Right. This is feminist groups saying, how dare you suggest that it's better for women to feed babies because that somehow ties them biologically to the act of procreation. And my only point is, feminists, as usual, are helping to obscure biological realities because they don't like them. And that's an attack on science, and I'm against that.
It's a study that's just saying it's inappropriate to say that breast milk is the only natural way to feed a child. A man could naturally feed a child in other ways.
Well, actually, a man can't naturally feed a child. A man can't produce formula.
I mean, baby, and naturally give it formula. Natural. It's natural. Loving is natural.
Okay. It's just. Can you just take 3 steps back and acknowledge that there's something pretty awful about inserting gender politics into something as beautiful and intimate as the first days of a child's life?
You know,
and maybe parents could say, hey, back off.
It's not beautiful. Breastfeeding is not beautiful. Breastfeeding, it causes so many headaches, and it can be so horrible. And as a pediatrician told me, it doesn't come naturally for so many women. So this study, I think, is wonderful because so women can finally step back and say, wow, it's okay to hand the bottle and the baby over to dad or my girlfriend or whatever the case may be.
Half of that sentence is correct, of course. It is absolutely okay to do that.
Thanks.
But I'm just wondering, final question for you, because this is giving me a little bit of a headache.
I'm sorry.
No offense to you. No, it's not your fault, but just the whole subject is so crazy. If it's not natural to breastfeed, how did the species get to where it is now? Like, why didn't we die out several millennia ago?
I think we found other ways like formula to feed the babies. So, years ago,
like during the medieval period, like where did you get the Similac then?
Yeah, exactly. I'm not quite sure, but this breastfeeding phenomenon has been going on for the last 10 years. But before that, our mothers weren't all exactly into breastfeeding. You had the feminism, the revolution, the 70s. Women did not breastfeed like they do nowadays. So breastfeeding has not always been the answer.
Man, I'm glad my kids are older enough to weigh into this stuff. Kathy, thanks for joining us tonight.
Thanks for having me.
Breastfeeding has not always been the answer, but it was the only options for all mammals, including humans, since mammals were invented. Wet nursing was for thousands of years a viable and sometimes controversial alternative, but still employed the use of women's breast feeding a baby. This was humanity's only choice until the 19th century, when bottles and formula were made available and gained popularity. This brings us back to the co-author of this article, Jessica Martucci. Her book titled Back to the Breast, Natural Motherhood and Breastfeeding in America sees this reemergence as part of the naturalism movement. Of course, she is nuanced in her approach, but we do see that the focus is on the word natural. We, of course, don't want to end up being forced to use milk, as we have seen that it is racist. Thank you once again for sharing your valuable time with this channel. If you are inclined to disagree, then please do so in the comments below. If you happen to like this, then damn it, hit the like button or subscribe. If you are moved to the point of feeling absolutely generous and want to contribute to and help this channel, then there would be no better way than showing your love by visiting the Patreon page and sharing your monetary affection with us. Goodbye.